Welcome to Far East Wargaming, and we're back today with another Zone Mortalis battle report.
Indeed, we're playing at 1,950 points, which sounds really weird, but it's because of the fact that the Alpha Legion army is not fully optimized for 2.0.
Yes.
And we also wanted the Ultramarines army, which is also only ZM sized. We did a couple little tweaks on it, and that's why we have a weird point value of 1950.
Yeah, so we're playing the Hunt and Eliminate scenario from the new Exemplary Battles, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a new ZM mission that's in the Exemplary Battles, so a lot of bad press on the internet about it was a worthless book, but there are extra missions in it, which we find very useful.
Yeah. So as we said, we've got the Alpha Legion, played by the traitorous Jason over here, and then I'll be playing the Ultramarines with an allied detachment of Dark Angels, just to help bolster their numbers in this Calth battle.
Yes, now typically for ZM, if you look at the rules, you're not allowed to bring allies in ZM games. But again, because of the points value and the size of the armies, we went ahead and decided to modify a little bit. This is the first time that we've played the mission. This is also the first time on some brand new ZM terrain, which we're really proud to bring to you. I think you're going to like it, and for the budget conscious, we'll talk about it in a separate video, how you can actually create this kind of table for yourself.
Yeah. So we'll be with the armies up next, and we look forward to seeing you in the postgame. Here we have 1950 points of Traitor Alpha Legion, running the Headhunter Leviathan Rite of War. This force is led by Armilus Dynat, and accompanying him is a 5-man Cataphracti command squad, all upgraded with Power Fists and Volkite Chargers. For the first of the elite slots, we have a Contemptor Dreadnought with Gravis Power Fist and inbuilt Melter Gun, and carries Assault Cannon. As a second elite choice, and using the Alpha Legion's rewards of treachery, we have a Salamander Firedrake Terminator squad. This is 5-man strong, and they all have Dragon Scale shields and Thunder Hammers. The Firedrake Master also is upgraded with Venom Spheres. For troops, we start with a 15-man tactical squad. This unit is upgraded with a Legion Vexilla, and the Sergeant is upgraded with Artificer Armor, a Combi Plasma, a Power Dagger, a Power Fist, and Venom Spheres. For the second troop slot, we have an 8-man Headhunter kill team. The Headhunter Prime is upgraded with Artificer Armor and a Power Fist. The whole unit has upgraded their bolters to Combi Melters. For the final troop selection, we have a 10-man Headhunter kill team. The Headhunter Prime is upgraded with Artificer Armor and Power Fist. One of the Headhunters is upgraded with a Heavy Bolter. The rest of the squad has upgraded their bolters to Combi Plasma Guns. Finally, rounding off this force in fast attack, we have a 5-man Seeker squad. The Seeker Sergeant has upgraded to Artificer Armor and a Power Dagger with Venom Spheres. The entire unit has upgraded their bolters to Combi Melters. This rounds up 1950 points of Traitor Alpha Legion. For the 1950 points of Loyalists, we have a primary detachment of Ultramarines alongside an allied detachment of Dark Angels. Leading the Ultramarines is a Tartarus Praetor with Paragon Blade. He is accompanied by a Tartarus command squad. 2, including the standard bearer, have been upgraded with Chain Fists. 3 have been upgraded with Lightning Claws, and all of the chosen have Volkite Chargers. For elites, we have a 5-man Ultramarines Terminator squad. The Ultramarines Decurion is wielding a power sword. The rest of the squad have been upgraded with power fists. For the last elite, we have a 2-man Apothecarian detachment. Both have been upgraded with Artificer armor, and one has been upgraded with a power sword. For troops, we start with a 15-man tactical squad. The sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer armor and power fist. One of the legionnaires has been upgraded to a Legion Vexilla, and all of the tactical squad have been given chainswords. For the second troop slot, we have another 15-man tactical squad. The sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer armor and a power sword. One of the legionnaires has been upgraded with a Legion Vexilla, and the entire squad has been given chainswords. For the final troop slot, we have a 6-man tactical support squad. The squad has been upgraded with plasma guns, and the sergeant has been upgraded with Artificer armor and chainsword. The Allied Dark Angels are running the Pride of the Legion Rite of War. This force is led by a Delegatus in Cataphracti armor. He is armed with a Tyrannic Greatsword and a Volkite Charger. Accompanying him is a 5-man Cataphracti command squad. The entire unit has been upgraded with Thunderhammers, and the Chosen have been upgraded with Combi Plasma. This unit is running the Deathwing Hexagrammaton. For troops, there is a 5-man Terminator Tartarus squad. The entire squad has been upgraded with Pair of Lightning Claws. This unit is running the Dreadwing Hexagrammaton. This concludes 1950 points of Loyalist Ultramarines and Allied Dark Angels.
We hope you're enjoying today's battle report, but we'd like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Space Marine Supply Company, a brand new retail establishment in Puchong, Kuala Lumpur. So if you're a local, you can go and check out their establishment. You can also order online for Malaysia only. But if you happen to be visiting international to here in Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur, I'm sure they'd love to have you stop by. In addition to Games Workshop and other products, you can find famous brands like Artis Opus. So please go and check them out. You can use the links in the description below of this video to go and visit the website. We hope that you patronize and give them some business, and at the same time, back to the video.
And here is the Zone Mortalis battlefield for today. As you can see, in the defender zone, we have some of the objectives. The first one has been placed in the corner here, 6 inches from the table edge and against the wall. We have a second one just over the side of the wall here, 2 in the defensive zone to help the defenders survive this chaotic battle. Just outside on the wall, there is a third objective with the 4th in no man's land behind some closed doors, and we'll see how the Alpha Legion get on with that. And then the final 2 objectives are another one central in no man's land and a final one just behind the barrels here in the right hand side no man's land. We'll be coming up with the deployments shortly. For the combined force of the Ultramarines and the Dark Angels, we only had 6 reinforcement points to spend, and we had 2 command squads to come in. So first off, we started with the elite Ultramarines. They came in the position that would give them the most line of sight for their guided fire missile launchers. The Dark Angels decided to take the back line, and the command squad with Delegatus protected the rear, so there was no infiltration shenanigans by the Alpha Legion into the back line of this force. And finally, the Ultramarines command squad decided to take the left flank and try and get to the objective just behind the wall as fast as possible.
As is typical for the Alpha Legion and their shenanigans, we had a lot of infiltration. So first off, we had 2 headhunter squads that were able to take advantage. The first one here is on my right flank, as close as possible to the Fulmintaris, as well as an objective marker. Now they have combi meltas, which will be very useful in dealing with the Terminators. Definitely don't want to use those on the objective marker if I don't have to. The other headhunter squad infiltrated to an advantageous position here in the middle of the board. Now they have combi plasmas, which will allow them to hopefully get into rapid fire range pretty quickly as well to deal with those very powerful Ultramarine Termies. Because of Armilius Dynat as the Warlord and his Warlord trait, I can also grant infiltrate to up to 3 units, one of which is the Rewards of Treason Fire Drakes, who are also ready to come around this corner and deal with an objective marker, but also go support the fight against the Terminator Horde on the other side of the table. And finally, Dynat and his command squad of Cataphracti infiltrated over here onto this far corner, close to an objective marker, but also close to the enemy command squad. Because this is the Headhunter Right of War, and we should actually be going after the enemy commander in short order. So here in the caverns under Calth, we have the Alpha Legion, who have infiltrated a force to take on the defenders of Ultramar, as well as their Dark Angel allies. Now, it's actually going to come down to a battle of who can be the more blue, because this is a bluish Alpha Legion force, as you can see. But yeah, it should be a very interesting game and a very new mission out of the new Exemplary Battles book, so we'll see what happens. But I do think it's time for the obligatory fist bump.
Yes, so we'll do this on camera as much as we can.
Yep.
And we'll be here with the first turn for the Alpha Legion next.
Kicking things off for the Alpha Legion, we've played very aggressive. So I was starting with the Headhunters on my right flank. They've moved up enough to be able to charge this objective if I need to, but I also was trying to fish out a reaction to see if the door is going to open or anything else over here. So basically just to force decisions on this side. The Combi Plasma Headhunters played very aggressively. We knew we were going to take some incoming fire from the suppress reaction, and yes, the Ultramarines Fulmintaris did manage to kill and force a pinning check on this unit, which we passed on a perfect 9. Very lucky moment there. I was quite nervous, but we passed the check, and we're going to unleash some plasma in just a moment. The Fire Drakes have moved around with an objective marker in their sights to go hit it with their hammers. And then finally, the command squad over here on this side was also trying to fish out reactions when they did their movement. So they have an opportunity to either shoot at the opposing command squad or go charge that objective marker in just a moment. Kicking off the shooting phase for the Alpha Legion, it was a bit short and sweet. I decided to give up the melta part of my combi weapons over here and go ahead and shoot up this objective marker. Now, I had decisions to make. I could either save the Meltas and wait for what happens with the Fulmintaris, or I can just go ahead and try and get the victory points. I'm going to play the mission, and I'm going to get the victory points, and we killed the poor defenseless objective marker. Here in the middle, the other Headhunter squad with the Combi Plasmas, they did what they needed to do, which was to come around the corner unloading a lot of rapid-firing Combi Plas into the Fulmintaris. So after all the shots, we managed to fry one guy who rolled a nice double 1 on his Combi Plas and then failed the armor save. But in return, the sheer weight of fire from the combi weapons, plasma, the bolter, it managed to down 3 of the Fulmintaris, which is huge in reducing their firepower. Now, unfortunately, I didn't pass a check, so I do have to deal with them in just a bit of a moment. That was actually all of the shooting, because I had a temporary brain fart in my movement phase. You'll have to excuse me. Completely forgot that infiltrators can't charge of any type in the first turn, so please forgive me for that, but we went ahead and corrected it, so no issues there. All in all, yeah, I'm going to say that that's a pretty good turn 1 for the Alpha Legion. We put a lot of pressure down, we got an objective marker, and we managed to thin out the always scary Fulmintaris. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the counterpunch in just a moment.
For the Ultramarines, that was a painful turn 1. We started off with the Dark Angels, making a move from the back line, because there's nothing that can come in to threaten their back line in the next turn. So they're moving up to try and deal with at least one of the Headhunter squads who's just run through this flank. The Fulmintaris have elected to stay put. They do need to protect that one objective that they are sitting on. I was tempted to move off, but play the objectives, play the mission. And that's the Ultramarine way. Now, the command squad decided to move forward and try and get closer to the enemy command squad. Risky in itself, even riskier for Volkite coming back their way. They managed to cause 2 wounds, and I managed to roll a Snake Eyes.
Woohoo!
Losing one of my lightning claws in the back there. Hopefully they do better in the next phases. For the shooting phase, the command squad is going to save their shots because the Alpha Legion are already 2 inches further away, and with a displace here, it would have put them in a long bomb charge.
Or an advanced reaction where I could have gone 12 inches away from you.
Yeah, so smarter tactics is just to try and take this to close combat. We'll see how that goes in the assault phase. But for the Fulmintaris, there was only 2 of them left. They decided to shoot against the headhunters that had decimated their squad in the previous turn. And as you can see, they did displace slightly back, but lost 3 to the shrapnel shells, or splinter shells, I think they were called.
Yeah, the pinning strength 5s. I lost the sergeant and 2 more guys.
Yeah, and we didn't pin, but he did flee, as you can see, and he fled 7 inches back towards the door that's closed for him there.
Cowards.
So, yeah. Good, all in all, pretty happy with the shooting phase. I'm just wishing there were 5 there.
not me.
But next time, we know how to play with the Fulmintaris. For the assault phase, the Ultramarines only had 1 charge, and it was the command squad. They rolled a nice 7 and got in, even though 2 inches further away for the Alpha Legion.
That's correct.
And as you can see, it wasn't a very deadly combat, but it was a lot closer than it looks at the end here.
It was an exercise in futility, apparently. 2 command squads with characters attached, and there was a massive 1 guy that died after all the dice were thrown.
Yeah, the Praetor caused the wound. My lightning claws managed to cause a lucky wound on a 1 there for your save.
Yep.
And then all of our fists and thunderhammers missed.
Nothing. That was so bad.
So we'll see this in the next turn 2 for the Alpha Legion.
So starting off turn 2 for the Alpha Legion, the first thing we needed to do was rally the fleeing headhunters in the middle, which they managed to do. We've just basically moved a little bit where we could get a couple pot shots off, even though they're snapshots, onto the Fulmintaris. It's a good thing they rallied as well, because otherwise they could flee through other units and cause a problem. I spent 1 reinforcement point to just simply bring on the big 15-man tactical blob from my table edge. I want to save 1 point for outflanking shenanigans later on. They went ahead and ran, so they did their full movement of 11 over here. The second headhunter squad went ahead and barreled through the door. Even though we've already fired off our combi meltas, we want to position ourselves for a multi-charge on the Fulmintaris as well as the objective, hopefully to destroy it with some crack grenades or a power fist from the sergeant. The fire drakes just moved up just a little bit, basically to make sure that they can't fail the charge when they go in on that objective in just a moment. And then, of course, the very inept scrum between the 2 command squads and characters over there. They can't move, so we'll just see what happens in that assault phase. We'll be back in just a moment with some shooting. There'll be a few shots on the Fulmintaris. One additional point to add, so when the headhunters did come through the hallway and the door over here, the Fulmintaris did elect to suppress. They did manage to score 3 hits with their splinter pinning weapons. Thankfully, these were all tanked on the Artificer armor of the Sergeant. And we are playing the SNN Battle Reports rules where you can only take Artificer saves up to the initiative value of a character when it's purchased as an upgrade. So thankfully, he made all 3 of the saves. So shooting for the Alpha Legion, we started with the recently rallied headhunters here in the middle. Even though they were snap shooting, they did manage to get a couple hits in. Precision strikes didn't do absolutely anything. I didn't think it would, but hey, we tried. The second headhunter squad was a bit more successful, so they unloaded with all of their combi weapons. Thanks to precision strikes, we managed to put a wound on the sergeant, and then the other Terminator actually failed a wound as well. So a total of 2 wounds dealt there. They're each on 1 wound left. But Rich was very smart, and he used the opportunity to displace and actually made it where I can't multi-charge that objective. So that was a really nice move by him. But at least we can go in and hopefully finish off those Fulmintaris in the assault phase in just a moment. So for the assault phase with the Alpha Legion, the headhunters went ahead and charged in, and even though we couldn't reach the objective, we could reach the Fulmintaris Terminators. And all of those power daggers with sudden strike managed to take the last 2 wounds off of that squad, killing them without losing anybody in return. We went ahead and used our initiative consolidation to get a little further back from that Dark Angel squad, which is probably going to be angry and coming through the door in just a moment. Over here next was the Fire Drakes, and of course, if 5 Fire Drakes with Thunderhammers can't beat a poor defenseless objective marker, then something's wrong in the world. And yes, they blew it up, so that gives me another 2 points. And then finally, the Command Squad Scrum over here was much more effective this time. So we did lose 2 of our members to the various attacks from the Ultramarines, and in return we managed to kill all 4 of the Tartarus thanks to some great hits on the Power Fists of my Command Squad. The lone Praetor managed to pass his leadership check, and he's now surrounded by Dynat and the remaining 2 members of that Command Squad. All in all, a very, very good turn for the Alpha Legion. We got another 2 points for the second objective. We got the counter strike for destroying the Fulmintaris over here. So that now brings us to 5-0 in favor of the Alpha Legion, but it looks like we're probably going to have some angry guys coming in just a moment.
Turn 2 movement for the Ultramarines, and with the 2 reinforcement points from turn 1, I had to bring in 2 15-man tactical squads because we're going to have to protect these objectives in the back line, and I had to take some space because he saved a reinforcement point from his turn 2, so he has the opportunity to come in from my back line and immediately take this out, and that would be game over.
Yes, indeed.
For this. The Dark Angels command squad moved up towards the Headhunters because they also have to protect this objective here, and with their Overwatch?
Suppress, yes.
Suppress, yes.
We managed to fire off 16 shots. We only hit 1 time, yet we still managed to sneak a wound through. So Rich is continuing his pattern of rolling 1s, unfortunately.
These dice, and I was using the Dark Angels instead of the ones I was using for the Ultramarines, and it still did not help. We're going to elect not to do any shooting because we don't want these guys to get further than they are, and he still has his advanced reaction to use, which can put him into the ether 12 inches away.
Yes, I could have actually used that and been sneaky and got completely away from your charge, so probably a good idea not to shoot them.
Then over here, this is still locked in combat, so I can't shoot, but it's going to be critical in the assault phase, because if he doesn't hold for this round, we're probably losing that objective in the next turn. So the Dark Angels command squad managed to successfully get into close combat with these Headhunters. And as you can see, there was carnage for the Headhunters there.
Yeah, that's a lot of Thunderhammers, and it went about as well as you would expect.
So we did lose 1 guy in return who already had a wound on him.
Yeah, we snuck a lucky power dagger strike in and got a rend on it. Or breaching, excuse me.
Breaching, yes.
Yep.
And then we consolidated onto the point to save this point, or try and save this point. But the more important fight, sadly, did not go our way. My Praetor managed to get 3 of his 4 attacks in here with a murderous strike and 2 normal wounds, but the 4+ invulnerable save saved everything there, and the fists in return came back.
We did.
Blatted me there.
Yeah, we managed to parry off the flurry of blows from the Praetor, and then the fists from the command squad managed to score a couple hits, and 1 failed invuln later, and the Praetor is down.
Yes.
Yep.
So even though we have scored 1 point for killing off the Headhunters here, we are not on objective with this command squad, and in the Alpha Legion turn, they just need to destroy that, and I think that puts the game past the Ultramarines' chances of winning.
Indeed. We'll see what happens. If for some reason I don't destroy that, then we're going to have a longer game, but it's a good chance then that we might actually get too many points for the Ultramarines to overcome. So the crucial turn 3 for the Alpha Legion, even though I was banking an extra couple of points, I elected not to try and come on anywhere else because a Contemptor would cost 4 points to actually come in from the flank or for the rear. So all he did is he just came on from my table edge, this big tactical blob here as well. Went ahead and moved up 7. They did not run, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to open this door right there. The remainder of the Headhunters here elected not to actually move because I didn't want to trigger a suppress reaction from the combi plasmas and whatnot of the Dark Angels command squad. The Fire Drakes, they only were able to move 6. They weren't able to get in contact with this door, which would have been great because I could have actually possibly charged the command squad, but can't be too greedy. And then finally, the remainder of the command squad with Dynat over there elected not to move because there's really no reason not to, because we're going to go charge that objective in just a moment. So turn 3 shooting for the Alpha Legion, there was really only one unit that had any shots, and that was the stationary Headhunter squad here. But Rich was able to use his displace and actually get out of line of sight with the command squad. Probably a good move, just so he doesn't lose anybody and perhaps maybe trigger a flee or something like this.
Yeah, you were not going to be threatening this anyway with anything else, so why take the shots?
Exactly. So yeah, that was the only shooting. So now it's going to come down to, once again, a charge against a defenseless objective marker with the command squad. And depending on how that goes, this could possibly be the end of the game because that would give me a total of 7 points. So we'll see what happens in just a minute. So just to add a little bit of drama, we elected to go ahead and record this one set of rolls for you. We went ahead and charged in with the command squad and Dynat against that objective marker. Now in this mission, they have an AV value of 12, but they only have 1 hull point. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the 6 attacks from the 2 charging command squad members with power fists. So because it's treated like a vehicle, this is all hitting on 2s. And all 6 are hitting. And now any 4s, because of the strength 8, are going to automatically destroy the objective marker. Stranger things have happened, and we only got...
Oh, it was so close!
That's why we filmed the roll. We only got 1 4 through there, but that is enough to destroy the objective marker and give a total of 7 points to the Alpha Legion.
God, 5 1s and 1 4.
That would have been crazy if another 1 had come up, but hey, that's why we did the roll. Well, that was a heck of a game, maybe a little bit faster than we expected, but it's nice to at least have a brand new mission for ZM to try out.
Yeah, it was fun. It was lovely playing with the Ultramarines. Honestly, they're lovely to see on the board. It's nice to play a Legion I don't normally play, even though my Dark Angels did make an appearance and were quite impactful at a certain stage anyway. I just found you won quite convincingly.
Unfortunately, yeah, and I think that actually is a little bit of a symptom of the mission rules themselves, because the way the mission is written, each objective is worth 2 points to the attacker. The attacker has strategic initiative, which means he's going first. The defender only gets 1 point for each unit killed, and the secondaries are very limited.
Yeah. So the secondary is only one. It's actually in your favor. It's the counter strike. So you actually scored that one by killing a unit before I killed the unit.
Yes.
So just more in favor. And I think if you're playing this mission as an attacker, so as the word bearers who are supposed to play this mission, but as any Trader Legion really, taking larger and less units really limits how many points the defender can score.
Absolutely. Now, if you're playing this for theme, I mean, it's based upon the word bearers' assault into Calth and against the Ultramarines, and of course we changed the armies up a little bit. But you're absolutely right. Like, the thing that doesn't make any sense is the mission tells you to play at a smaller points value, which is 1,500. So if you actually play at 1,500, you have fewer units for the defender to kill. The attacker with shenanigans like the Alpha Legion or Raven Guard or Emperor's Children can very easily kill 2 or 3 of the objective markers. I think at the very least, you probably need to tweak maybe the secondaries, possibly, like add, Slay the Warlord or, Price of Failure or, whatever it is. Because, yeah, the way the mission is written, I don't think it's it's an uphill battle for the defender.
Definitely is an uphill battle there. We start on the same reinforcement points. We have the same requirements of coming in from the sides or from the back kind of thing. I think one of the things that we could do in the future is maybe up the number of wounds on these objectives, because having 1 wound only, going against Thunderhammers, you're just looking for that 1-4. We had the exciting roll for the command squad for the last objective, which really won it for you there.
Yes.
And as you saw, I think it was 5 1s and 1-4, which was just enough.
That was crazy.
If that was a 3 wound objective, like the doors are 3 hull points in these doors, if it was something along those lines, you'd still be there. There would have been a chance for me. Even when you were taking out the first objective, it still might not have died to all that melter shots. I think it just needs a bit more balancing out. And I understand that the betrayal at Calth there is a very one-sided fight because it was a blind side by the word bearers against the Ultramarines. But when we're looking for games, we're looking for tiny bit more balance. We do love narrative play, and that's one thing. So these one-sided battles for some events are fun. I think just in general, especially if you're playing more as a casual player who just wants to enjoy a game, these one-sided battles are harder to stomach.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, don't let the rules actually, stop you from making your own modifications. You'll see in almost all of our bat reps, if we feel that something is not playing very well, or it's very one-sided, then yeah, we'll tweak it. I mean, even for this mission, just to get the points up a little bit, we allowed allies, which is normally not allowed in ZM. So absolutely, you have full freedom to be creative with your missions. Tweak this one a little bit, because I think actually the concept is good. The deployment zones are different. Yeah, I mean, I like it from that perspective, but I think it does need a little bit of a tweaking to kind of perfect it.
I will say, with 2020 hindsight, whilst I was playing this, especially after some of the things happened, since I could place the objectives, I could have been a bit smarter in how I do them further to my back line, because the deployment zones and the reinforcement zones are pretty set. There's outflanked, and the back line is a long one there, so I could have put some stuff down on that. And even though I did need Full Mortalis to have some line of sight to shoot things, or just lack of doors more than anything for their guided fire, I knew I didn't have first turn, so I could have been a bit more cautious and kept them behind closed doors so they didn't eat so much melter fire in the first turn. Yeah,
it was your first time to play with the Full Mortalis, so it's totally understandable. And as you watch the video, you notice that we played with a lot of doors, because to be quite honest, Full Mortalis can be very oppressive in ZM because of the fact they don't need line of sight. The mission itself says that you have a ceiling, and we played with a lot of doors, so don't be that guy that says you can shoot through doors because you don't need line of sight. We figured that adding that would just actually make it a little bit more competitive, but you're right, they did die a little bit more quickly than probably you wanted.
I should have been that guy, and I should have taken the 4 extra Full Mortalis you had in the box there and really built up a big Full Mortalis squad.
Yeah, who doesn't want to face 10 of these in Zone Mortalis? But no, thank you for being nice. What do you think? So what was your man of the match?
Well, honestly, even though they did die in turn 1, or 3 of them died in turn 1, I was so impressed with how much damage they do. I didn't even use the AP2 rounds. I just used, I think they're splinter rounds, the 4 shots each with pinning. It's just, I'm glad they weren't all 5 for the shooting round, because you can easily wipe out squads there, especially 8-man squads.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 4 shots each, strength 5, so you're wounding on 3s. They're ballistic skill 2, so you're
breaching
actually
6s.
Breaching 6s. So yeah, those things are pretty nasty as well. Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that the Full Mortalis, even though you lost quite a few the first turn, they really gummed up the middle.
Yeah, and the command squad for me, for the Dark Angels, did come in and wipe out your headhunters, but kind of be expected. They were also not going to be my man of the match. They weren't the primary detachment for the Ultramarines here, so I feel bad giving it to my home legion.
It's okay. I mean, they did some work. They killed a very expensive headhunter squad, so yeah, that would have been a good choice. I think for me, mine was actually, for a similar reason, my headhunter squad with the combi plasmas, because they came around the corner, they killed 3 Full Mortalis. Yes, a bunch of them died in return, but they managed to rally and come back into the fight, into the middle, and kind of divide your attention so you couldn't just camp on that objective. So I thought they put a lot of pressure. They did really, really good. They do cost a lot of points with all those combi weapons. They're only 1 wound models, but they have a lot of great rules. So headhunters are really, really nice, and the headhunter rite of war is also really, really good as well. Even if the mission itself doesn't have the bonus points for Slay the Warlord, because that would have been just brutal if I would have got 3 points for killing your Praetor.
It would have put it much further beyond me than it already was. And what was actually your other headhunters with the sudden strike from their charge that actually killed off the remaining Full Mortalis. So really, regardless of which one of the headhunter squads there, they all did work for you. So points well spent, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the only reason why I don't take more of them is number 1, models, number 2, points, number 3, no line. But a couple good squads of them with that infiltration and the combi weapons. And you're right, the power daggers with sudden strike going all of a sudden at initiative 5. Everybody says they're only strength 3, but they're breaching 5. So that's just a lot of attacks that are striking at initiative 5 with a chance to breach. So yeah, absolutely, great units.
Really, everything you wound is breaching, so it's AP2, and it's against Terminators, it's going on the invul. Against normal guys, just killing them. So it's honestly a very powerful squad. And in Zone Mortalis, especially if we're not playing objective control missions here, not having line isn't such a bad thing. And fewer squads because of the way reinforcement points work in Zone Mortalis, in the new version of Zone Mortalis, really penalizes you for just bringing in small squads. You
Yeah.
want to overpack them. You want to run Pride of the Legion. I think it's going to be a very popular one for Zone Mortalis. Running 15-man assault squads, sorry, not assault squads, destroyer squads or tactical squads really brings value to that reinforcement point you're bringing in.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I really like about ZM is just the fact that because of the rules, because of the game style, the reinforcement point mechanic, which you may love or you may hate, I'm actually starting to like it, although I still think 6 points is too low. You get to play a lot of units and lists that you may not normally play. So it's an excellent way to play the game. By all means, give it a try. You'll see our separate video on the terrain itself. So now you have no excuse. You can actually make this kind of terrain very easily, very cheaply. Just put in a weekend's worth of work and you can have a nice 6x4 table fully painted of this stuff.
Yeah, it was great to play. I think here at Far East Wargaming, we love to play on some really nice terrain. We do spend the time and effort to try and bring you something more basic than a one-color GW, GW Grey.
Yeah.
And this was a nice change up from the actual official GW terrain. And I won't lie, I think this was a bit easier to put together.
It's faster to put together, faster to put away. It's not as heavy. So yeah, so they had a lot of positives going for it. If you get a chance, check out Scrapscapes KL on Instagram or on Facebook. You can actually find great examples of Patricio's work. If you get an opportunity to commission him to do something, to perhaps send you a set of this yourself, then by all means, just give him a message. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, look, from us at Far East Wargaming, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the battle report. We're going to be looking to bring more of these in the future, as well as our Heresy Thursday reviews and discussions, so our Heresy Thursday podcast. But please, if you haven't already, subscribe so you get the notifications and like the video. And if you have any comments, if we did anything wrong, or you actually just want to know more about the armies or the terrain that we have in this, feel free to drop something in the comments. We look at all of our comments and we try and reply to those. Constructive criticism is welcome. And apart from that, thank you for tuning in, and I think we'll see you on the next one.
Yep, appreciate it.